What's up guys, Brian here for Gaming and welcome back to another episode of Can It Game, where we take smartphones and put them through their paces to see if they're really worth your cash for gaming. Today, we're looking at something pretty intriguing. It's the Nothing Phone 3A. Yep, it's another Nothing phone. But here's the big question. Is this latest mid-ranger from Nothing actually good for gaming, or is it nothing special? So first things first, this is the Nothing Phone 3A. You've probably seen this iconic transparent back and glyph interface before. But there are some interesting upgrades here under the hood that we should talk about. Starting with the specs, we've got an AMOLED panel here, 120Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus support, and an impressively bright 800 nits typical brightness, peaking all the way up to 3000 nits. And yeah, that's a lot of nits. Visibility outdoors? Absolutely no issue. Now protecting all this tech, we've got Panda Glass, not Gorilla Glass this time. Now, what's Panda Glass exactly? Well, it's another chemically strengthened glass brand similar to Gorilla Glass, but typically a little bit more budget friendly. It gives good scratch resistance and solid durability, just a step behind Gorilla Glass Victus. But honestly, for the price, this is exactly what you'd expect, and I'm cool with it. One thing gamers will definitely appreciate is the 1000Hz touch sampling rate. That's crazy fast and means super responsive input, which could actually help your game a bit, especially for games where split-second reactions matter. Underneath, we've got the Qualcomm Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 chip built on a 4nm process paired with an Adreno 810 GPU. Now this is a squarely mid-range chipset. It won't rival flagship silicon like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 or the 8 Elite. But for gaming at mid-range prices, this actually looks pretty promising on paper. Storage-wise, you've got two options. 8GB of RAM plus 256GB of storage or 12GB of RAM plus 256GB of storage. It's LPDDR4X RAM paired with UFS 2.2 storage. Not the fastest out there, but again, solid for the price. Powering all this is a beefy 5000 mAh battery with 50 watts wired charging. Respectable specs at this price point. And speaking of price, the Nothing Phone 3A will run you 19,999 pesos for the 8GB model or 22,490 pesos if you want the extra RAM. It's pretty competitively priced, especially given that we're seeing elsewhere in the mid-range market right now. Okay, specs are cool and all, but let's throw some benchmarks up here really quick. Yeah, benchmarks alone don't tell the full story, but they're helpful indicators. Decent numbers across the board, nothing shocking, but solid. For our gaming test, we're keeping it consistent as always. We're running each game for 30 minutes straight, set on the default graphics settings. Now, why default graphics? Because we think it's the sweet spot for testing mid-range phones. Manufacturers optimize their devices to perform best at these recommended settings. So this gives us realistic, fair, and practical view of how this phone actually performs in games you'd really play daily. And we're using average FPS and surface temperature as our key metrics. You want your phone cool and consistent. Alright, let's game. Starting with Call of Duty Mobile. The Phone 3A delivers an average of 60 FPS with a comfortable surface temperature around 33 degrees Celsius. Very smooth and pretty cool to touch, which is nice. Genshin Impact, arguably the most demanding game out there right now, also averaged 60 FPS. Though it did run a bit warmer at 37 degrees Celsius. Still manageable and honestly, better than expected at this price range. Now Zenless Zone 0. Average around 45 FPS at 37 degrees Celsius. A bit lower than I'd like, but definitely playable. Mobile Legends 60 FPS again, running around 36 degrees Celsius. Silky smooth performance, no issues whatsoever. And Asphalt Legend Unite runs off our test, holding a solid 60 FPS at 36 degrees Celsius, giving you smooth, stable racing gameplay. Now, after playing these games extensively, let's talk about what stood out most to me. Number 1, the display. Fantastic colors, genuinely impressive brightness, that 120Hz refresh rate, and a responsive touch sampling rate. It's flat too, no accidental edge touches, exactly what we gamers prefer. Second, battery life. Solid performance. Easily gets through a full day of mixed use even with plenty of gaming session thrown in. Third, I gotta talk about the build quality. It feels surprisingly premium. Materials used were feel flagship tier, the weight is balanced, comfortable, and that transparent grip interface on the back, it's still and quietly cool. Nothing clearly knows how to make their phones stand out. Fourth, software. Nothing OS is clean, minimalist, and snappy. The experience is streamlined, no bloatware, no distractions, exactly what you want for gaming or daily use. Fifth, heat management. Honestly, the Nothing Phone 3A surprised me here. Even under load, temperature stayed relatively comfortable. No thermal throttling was noticeable. And finally, its value. At under 23,000 pesos, this is one of the more competitively priced mid-range gaming devices right now. You get good gaming performance, a solid build, and a great screen without breaking the bank. So, can the Nothing Phone 3A game? The answer is yes. Absolutely. For mid-range gamers or casual players looking for a daily driver that's stylish, smooth, and reliable, the Nothing Phone 3A checks pretty much every box you could ask for. Sure, it's not an absolute performance beast, but it handles gaming impressively, especially for the price you're paying. Bottom line, if you want a no-frills, well-rounded, capable mid-range gaming smartphone that doesn't empty your wallet, Nothing might just have something here. Alright guys, that's been it. What device would you like us to do a gaming review next? Let me know in the comment section down below, and as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and also visit our website gaming.yucatec.com for more news, gaming stuff, and reviews. This is Brian, and I'll see you again on the next one.